Hello and welcome back to The Vacant Light. Today I'm reviewing Sargeist's latest LP called Let the Devil In from 2010. Before I proceed with this review, I'd like to mention that my buddy Misanthropy Eternal is also reviewing this record. So I'll make sure you guys have a link to his video so you guys can watch that as well. Sargeist's previous record, called Disciple of the Heinous Path, which I'd reviewed in a previous video, came out in 2005. So Sargeist fans had to wait a full 5 years to listen to this particular record, which is quite a long time. And this begs the question, was this 5-year wait really worth it for Sargeist fans? I'd like to assure you that for me personally, it was worth the wait. What Sargeist has done on this record is take their previous sound and add a little bit of tweak to it and change their approach in terms of the production values and some aspects of their songwriting, but still maintain the things that make Sargeist sound the way they do and the things that make their music enjoyable. Now, what Sargeist has done this particular record is, number one, they've acquired a bass player from Horna, a guy named Venaja, and I will talk about the specifics of the bass playing on this record. And number two, they had that nice focus on the instrumentation, which I think really adds a different aspect to the music that you may be not as familiar with after listening to the previous releases. The vocals on this record are fairly harsh and range from the mid to high pitched ranges. There is actually a bit of variety here as well. On a couple of tracks, such as the title track, you will hear different vocal vibes and influences. On the title track in particular, you'll hear a bit of a chanting vibe, which is interesting. If you listen to the album's closer, you can hear a bit of a punk influence, which you may be familiar with if you've listened to the Tyranny Returns demo with tracks like Night of Sacred Wisdom. So it's interesting to hear a little bit of vocal variation there. Although for the most part, you're going to get your classic Sargeist sound in terms of vocals. The guitar work for the most part is quite melodic, though you will hear influences from doom metal as on the previous record. For me, one of the doomiest songs on here is Nocturnal Revelation, where it combines a very sludgy tone with some good melodic parts to create a bit of diversity in that music. So although this is a pretty straightforward black metal album for the most part, you'll still get different kinds of influences in the guitar tone and enjoy different aspects of that sound. The bass player, Venaja, is the bass player from Horna, I believe, and this is not that surprising that Sargeist borrowed a member from another band like Horna, because Sargeist actually shares members with both the Hexen and Horna, two bands whose music I also enjoy very much. The bass playing is quite good, although it's not always as audible as on some more modern sounding metal releases. It does add a layer of richness to the music. And this is sort of a level of richness that you would not have heard on previous records, which is not necessarily better or worse than their previous music. It just adds a different element. On this record, you can really hear the different layers with the vocals, the guitars, and then the bass and drum really form the bottom layer of the music, as opposed to previous records where it was more thrown together and put together in an atmospheric way where the layers weren't necessarily as audible. With that said, the drumming is actually quite intricate in terms of comparing this to their previous records. At first, you may not notice all the nuances and all the little tidbits of cool drumming parts here and there in the record. But number one, there are a good variety of drumming parts, and the speed of the drumming is relatively varied, which is pretty nice. Number two, the drummer is really good with the cymbals. I hear there's a lot of good intricate cymbal parts, and as I listen to this record, I can really pick those out. So it's cool to hear that the drummer actually gets a little bit of more emphasis than on previous records here. Now, all in all those different aspects to the music really create a record that feels really rich and full-featured, which is really weird thinking about it in terms of black metal, but it still provides the right atmosphere, although there's less of a focus on blatant atmosphere through production values. So that's basically my opinion on this record. You know, it's a good, well put together record that combines a number of different elements and influences in the instrumentation, and some pretty great songwriting. In terms of the tracks, 10 tracks is a lot for a Sargeist record. Their last album before this only had 6 songs on it, so it's interesting to see them make an album with so many tracks. It's not since their demo from several years ago, Tyranny Returns, where they had this many tracks on a particular release. I also like the fact that it allowed them to sample a little bit of different varieties and influences between the different tracks. Some tracks are more geared towards that doom metal influence, while others focus more on straightforward black metal vibes and melodic guitar tones. For example, songs like Burning Voice of Adoration and Sanguine Rituals, those are really like meat and potatoes, kind of old school sounding black metal tracks. Other tracks, like Nocturnal Revelation, focus more on the doom metal aspects and those influences. And other songs like A Spell to Awaken the Temple and Twilight Breath of Satan, those songs really combine the sludge, doom, and the more guttural aspects with the guitar melody to create sort of a nice fusion of sounds. So in conclusion, if you are a Sargeist fan, I think you will enjoy this record as long as you don't get too caught up on production values. And also, if you're a person who was interested in Sargeist in the past, but maybe their production was a bit too harsh for your tasting, this is actually a good entry point for you to get into Sargeist because of their more modern sound while maintaining all of the things that I really like about them for the most part. So thanks a lot for watching this video, and have a good one. Goodbye.